Human beings are a disease, a cancer of this planet. You are a plague, and we are the cure. 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 We are the cure.
tape recorder memory and insert it back into an animal, and it remembers. Next will be primates. Beyond that, who knows? Maybe we'll upload the vacation that you never had. Next will be primates. Beyond that, who knows? Maybe we'll upload the vacation that you never had.
Downloading files.
Download complete.
Hello.
Yay.
Oh my god, Moose has no facial hair.
That's not Moose.
Motherfuckers.
I don't think I've ever seen you without facial hair.
Yeah, it's been a long, long time.
Wow. Cor or Reba, come look at Moose. Come look at Moose. He looks way different. I don't know who I'm looking at right now.
It's a moose
Oh,
without facial hair.
Wait, come
Hi,
back.
Reba.
Stop.
Hey.
Take off your sunglasses.
Hey, it's me.
Oh my god, it's Ethan
What's
Hawke.
up?
Wow, you lost like 5 years, man.
Yeah, I know.
Shit.
Thank you, Reba.
He says thank you.
Eventually, those games will be
Ah,
they'll be so realistic you will not be able to tell the difference between that
okay,
game
let's
and the
sort
reality
out
is
the.
real.
What do you listen to?
The verb pipe.
Oh wow, wow, throwing that
Dude.
shit back.
Dude, sometimes I cut myself a little deep.
I mean, well, like it was. I remember when that song "The Freshman" was like super big.
Yeah.
Like I was on the radio at the time, and like everyone was like, "Oh, this song means so much." I'm like, dude, this song isn't even the best song about this.
Right. Yeah. But anyways, I like their other stuff, and the rest
I
of
love-
that album is good. So
The lead single from it was amazing, but then like,
then that one took over.
then The Freshman took off because in a post Kurt Cobain America, if you were writing about suicide, you could do well.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so what are we doing? This has me all confused. Or is it, now that
It's
you have
not
no
Moose,
facial,
it's our special guest.
it's our special guest Brian.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Please introduce him like that.
Yeah, that'd be
Brian?
will.
Brian, is it?
Yeah.
Brian? Ryan? Brian.
Brian.
Hey,
Ryan with a B.
it's so weird when people call you Brian.
Oh, I know. Believe me.
I always
I mean-
forget that you have a real name.
for the first year I knew him, I called him Brian, and then I don't remember how it came. I think you invited a friend in to play Helldivers with us, and he kept calling you Moose. I'm like, why aren't we calling you Moose?
Ask him if the dogs are confused.
Are the dogs confused?
No, they don't. Archer doesn't care.
They go by smell, not look.
Yeah. Archer doesn't care.
Moose still smells like burgers.
Yeah. I had
Although now
burgers for dinner.
he looks like he goes and purchases the Impossible Whopper at Burger King.
Oh, burn.
We went from me Moose to Impossible Whopper Brian.
There we go.
Do I
Good
want
times.
Straight Outta Compton on? Hey Reba, do I want Straight Outta Compton on red vinyl?
Yes.
Huh?
Why is it red vinyl?
No, I'm just asking. Do I want it or not?
Yes.
I signed into Discord and I'm like, I don't need no Discord.
I couldn't hear your question. What? Not if I have to pay, but it's Straight Outta Compton.
And it's red vinyl. It's red. Does she know it's red?
I told her it was red, Corey.
But does she know? Did you show her?
You know it's red, right?
Not blue, not generic black.
This is why I love her, because whenever I become a child like this, she navigates it so well.
She pulls you back. She says, no, motherfucker, no.
She leaves me room to be excited, but not necessarily. She doesn't really just stomp on my heart. She just sort of squeezes it and says,
she-
"Hey, maybe you
just
should do
says-
something else."
She says,
She gives it
Do
a
you
tease
really need
and a
that?
squeeze.
do you really need that?
Well, I mean,
Do
and
you
then
really need that?
she was super diplomatic. She's like, "You can get it as long as you don't have to pay for it."
Ooh,
Ooh, and
so
that,
does that mean she's buying it for you? Because that's what that
That's a good
sounds
stand.
like.
I don't want to go that far because I feel like that is aiming at a line. Corey.
Nope, that sounds a lot like
That might be moving in the divorce direction, and they just got married, so we don't need that.
I don't need that. Well, according to Reba, I've only got one. I'm only allowed one divorce.
Exactly.
So
I told Kelly the same thing. I said, "You're gonna have to fucking kill me."
yeah, see, I'm pretty sure like Reba will murder me if that happens.
Guys,
So
I only need 9.1 points to win my fantasy football game.
Well, good luck to you.
I need the Bears defense to score another touchdown and their running game to start running,
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
and then I'll win. It's only first quarter though. It's fine.
How'd the Browns do this week?
They lost.
They lost.
Let's not talk about it.
Was it bad?
It's all right. The Eagles lost too, so it's okay.
The Browns, they only lost by a touchdown to the Rams, but it was a lot worse than 7 points.
Oh, really?
Let's put it that way.
It's like one of those 2-1 soccer games where it could have easily been like 9-1.
Yeah. Do we play the Rams? Okay, they have like the
I don't know what that means.
the Rams have like one of the most potent offenses in the NFL, and the fact that our defense only held them to 20 points is a miracle, especially because we have 8 starters out and 6 of them are on defense.
Damn.
So,
All right. All right, we ready?
no.
Okay.
Let me hit record. Okay, I'm ready now.
Sweet. I should probably get the YouTube chat up just in case.
That'd be a good idea.
Just in case somebody decides to watch us.
Yeah. If someone decides to step back and say, hey.
Good news, guys. I only have 7 pages left to do on the website.
Awesome.
Yay!
Hey, website.
No, quit website.
Right?
Whose idea was it to have a website?
Yours.
No,
Yeah, it was yours.
maybe.
I
Totally
mean,
yours.
I mean,
Totally yours.
I
I
ain't
was
gonna
there.
throw anybody under the bus, but it was yours.
Get out of the way. That bus is right there.
I'm fucking driving the bus, motherfucker.
You saying you would run me over if you had the chance, Moose? That's mean.
No.
I mean,
I'm just saying,
Brian.
in the facts
Who
of
has your back? Brian, however. Impossible to get Brian over here.
decided to have a website, I'm gonna run you over. I'm gonna be driving that bus. Yep, it was Corey. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. Just keep going. Yeah.
Okay.
Brian and Moose, I feel like you should have tape in the middle of your sunglasses.
Why?
That's mean, dude.
That's mean. That's trash.
Just messing around.
Okay.
It's fine.
All right, ready?
I know no one's really here to like me anyway. It's cool.
Stop. I'm gonna start.
Go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. You are a QT. Was your dad a dealer? Cause you're dope to me. You throw them bowls across the country. You win gold medals for when you're with me. You big dummy. Right now, it's on. Right now, it's on. Right now, it's on. Welcome to Nerds Gone Rogue, episode 164. My name is Matthew. Alongside me, double legend himself, Corey Deering, the biggest Browns fan I know, except for maybe a couple others. Just kidding. And we have a special guest. We have Impossible Burger Brian.
Yeah.
How are you, sir?
Doing well. I'm doing well tonight. How are you?
I'm well. Now, should we do the Star Trek thing where you are like, you're good moose, and when you have a goatee, you're evil moose?
No.
I feel like it's the other way around now. At this
Right,
point.
like this is evil.
I mean, he's already said he will run you over with a bus. So.
I know.
Yeah. No.
That's
That's in convicting him of his own design and his own choices. You know, I mean, I ain't gonna run him over for anything he hasn't committed to saying or hasn't
Sure.
said.
Yeah,
You know,
no, fair.
if he puts something in place and be like, no, you said that, you decided on that, so yeah, I'll be the bus driver running you over.
See, don't you want to make it a semi so you can just go, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna get back to the intro. This is Nerds Gone Rogue. Check out our website, nerdsgonerogue.com. Check out everything we do. Nerds Gone Platinum, NX Show, Pow Block, YouTube.com/Nerds Gone Rogue. We have a Discord group. We have a Facebook group. Facebook.com/groups/Nerds Gone Rogue community. Find us all there. I'm Infinite_Rewind. Impossible Burger Brian is at Sven. Corey is at Corey EHP. And we're giving away a game. We're giving away the next Call of Duty when it comes out 4 weeks from now.
Duty.
How do you get involved with a giveaway, you ask? I know you were asking.
Moose is playing drums, apparently. Hope everybody likes that audio.
You know, let him be him, man. Let him be him. First off, you have to subscribe to us at either a podcast service of your choice or YouTube. That's one entry. If you give us a review on your podcast service of choice, that's a second entry. So if you were to, so you have 3 possible ways: YouTube subscription, podcast service subscription, and a review. Your review should be screenshot and sent in to nerdsgoneroguepodcast@gmail.com, as should your subscription to whatever service you choose to subscribe to. That way, all the entries are counted. We will be giving away the new Call of Duty the Monday of the week it releases. I forget its actual release date. I know it's
the end of October, I think.
Is it the end of October? I thought it was.
It's the last week of October. I'm pretty sure.
So the last Monday in October, most likely, it's the week before, like the Monday before Call of Duty comes out. We will give it away live on the show.
Yes, the 25th of October.
That's when it comes out?
Yep.
So the 21st of October is when we'll be giving this out. So you've got plenty of time.
Plenty of time, everybody. Plenty of time.
All the bureaucratic BS out of the way. How was everybody's weekend?
Long. It was good.
That's something you never hear about someone's weekend.
I know. Well, life, it was great.
Okay.
Other stuff was not so great. Matt, as you know, I've been trying to fix our website for
because WordPress dropped several updates on you.
They ruined it
without prejudice.
They ruined it, and also hope nobody really wanted to listen to the first 40 or so episodes of Nintendo Power Block or Arsenal X, because those are all gone too.
Oh damn!
In like the 3rd episode of Nerds Gone Platinum, which was the only episode missing from the website of Nerds Gone Platinum. So.
Oh man, that sucks.
So I don't even know what else is missing. All of the Nerds Gone Rogue episodes are still there though, untouched, as they say. So we're untouchable.
I don't know about that.
No, we are.
We're definitely touchable.
We're like Boris in GoldenEye. I am invincible, and then he gets frozen.
I was gonna say he does not have a good fate.
It doesn't work that well for him.
That's not a good fate. No. No.
Hey, I'm just telling it like it is. These are the facts. It's
like Deep Blue Sea. They ate me. A fucking shark ate me.
I think I saw that movie once.
Oh, you poor man. The movie sucks.
It wasn't very good.
No, it's not very good.
It was not memorable, as they say. All I know is like Samuel L. Jackson and LL Cool J were in it, and I didn't know anybody else in that movie.
Fair. Brian, how was your weekend?
We're just gonna keep this up the whole night.
My weekend was...
Because all he's doing is like, wow, 100 and some odd episodes in, they're finally calling me by my real name.
Not really. My weekend was good. What the heck did I do? Jesus, I don't even know. I hung out Saturday. Played some Nintendo Switch with my buddy yesterday.
Cool.
We got together, played some video games. So we were playing Mario Kart. We tried the SNES version of Mario Kart and were like, we are not good at this, and went back to the Switch Mario Kart. And so we had a good time doing that. He played Mario Odyssey.
Sweet.
I've been playing Borderlands.
Yes, we have.
That's been a lot of fun. I worked from home today, so answered some emails, but then also played some Remnant and some Borderlands, and it was a good time. It was a good weekend. Yeah.
I met my my best friend's baby for the first time.
You were here? I didn't know that.
Oh.
Other best friend.
I feel like I'm
Like-
about to have some truth dropped on me.
No,
Ooh.
my buddy Jason, first friend I made when I moved to Philadelphia.
Oh, Jason Marshall. I know that guy.
No, not him.
Truth bombs
he
all over
and-
the place.
He and his wife had a baby about a month ago, and Reba and I got to meet her, and she's adorable.
Nice.
She's pretty awake and calm for a 1 month old, from what I know. Reba had a lot to say because she knows about babies and I do not. But we had a good old time, and we just told them, we're like, we know it's about to get real for you guys. So if you guys ever need a break, just so you can, shower or go out and have a dinner, give us a call and we will help out however we can. And yeah, so it was nice to see them. I'm gonna go right into game time because my wife has a new game she loves.
Ooh.
And it is an old game.
Probably the same game I love.
Is it an
Yeah.
old game that is now a new game?
Yeah.
Except it's not Link's Awakening.
Oh,
No.
that's what I was thinking.
No. This one.
It is Castle Crashers,
Oh,
gentlemen.
Yes.
Castle Crashers, it was one of the first games I remember. Like, I remember when I got into Limbo on Xbox Live Arcade, and I'm like, I want more games like this. So I just dove into Xbox Live Arcade, and I spent like a buttload of money. And I got Portal, I got Castle Crashers. I think this was pre-Meat Boy, so I hadn't gotten Meat Boy yet.
Yeah, Meat Boy came out a little bit later.
But I got into this is one of my gateways into independent games, and let me tell you, as far as side-scrolling beat 'em ups are, like Castle Crashers is S tier. Like you could sit there, you could sit back and try and rank them all.
it's all right.
based
We
on
all
it.
know what the real number one of side-scrolling beat 'em ups are. It's Turtles in Time.
No.
I mean, I'm not. I don't.
No.
Well, Turtles in Time.
No.
Hang on, Moose.
No.
Turtles in Time is very good.
No.
Yes, it is. It
No.
really is. It
No.
really is. I promise.
No.
Brian doesn't agree with you.
No.
Maybe if Moose was here, he would agree.
No,
I
he
mean,
wouldn't agree.
You know, Brian's all on this Impossible Burger nonsense. Where like, I want to eat meat that's not actually meat, but
He
tastes
hasn't
like meat.
even had an Impossible Burger.
The beat juice is
So-
getting
That's
to his
impossible,
brain.
Brian.
See, the badness of the red meat is deflating now with all these vegetables going into his body, and now you just feel the beet juice cleansing. I can't even finish this. This is funny. Good stuff, everybody. Continue.
Anyway, Castle Crashers is fun as hell, and it was one of those things that, for me specifically, someone who played it originally, like I was worried that it might be a new and fun experience for her, but actually not. I thought it might be too easy for me because I don't remember having too many problems with it back then. I remember getting through it with relative ease.
Well, you're older now. So.
I'm older, the reflexes have gone, and that game's fucking stressful.
Well, we had this conversation about the game.
Yeah, we did.
And like what people don't know, because all right, listen, I'm a diehard Castle Crashers fan. I love
Yeah.
the behemoth. I wish they would get out of the bed that they're in with Microsoft so that their games would come on other platforms. So their games came to now Castle Crashers come to Switch and PS4. I'd love to see their next newest game be on all platforms instead of just the Xbox, where it will probably fucking die because Microsoft doesn't give a shit about them.
True.
But anyways, like the game is not difficult. It's just you have to realize how the game works. And I'm not saying that you don't.
Yeah.
But for tips for anybody that picks up Castle Crashers and is playing it, the best way to level up your character is to not put any points in strength, because your experience is earned through how many hits it takes for you to kill enemies, not how much damage you're doing. So, like, if you level your strength, it takes you less hits to kill an enemy, so you're not earning as much experience to level up. And so like, if you put points in magic, like, eventually you'll get to a point where you're like, these guys are like a pain in the ass. So you could just start using magic, you know, and to get through the guys that have armor and that are like the big heavies that are a massive pain in the butt, and you could just start using magic on them. But then, like, guys that you can, and I feel like the game does the juggle hit really well. That started with Devil May Cry, where like you knock an enemy into the air and then you just spam your attack button and you just hit them across the screen, let them fall to the ground. As soon as they get up, jump up and hit them across back the other screen, the other way. And you just kind of rinse and repeat to the point where you get to like the end of the game. And then once you get towards the end of the game, that's when you would start leveling in strength so that you can really do damage to the enemies that are in the final castle.
Yeah. Now, just to add a bit of context as to how much Reba's enjoying her time with this, she's like, I wish you didn't have to record tonight because I could go for some Castle Crashers. And I'm like,
yeah, that's good that she's enjoying it.
I literally had my phone. I'm like, do I? I'm like, yeah, I should record. But so we're definitely going to be playing more of that. And I think really like the stress of that game has come in just like trying to make sure that she has an okay onboarding to it. Yeah. As well as I got to make sure I know what the hell I'm doing. Yeah. The one stressful. There's a moment in early in the game that it resold me on the game just because I thought it was adorable, and I'm like, and when she saw it, she's like, oh my god, this is the best game ever. Anyway, when you're coming out of when you walk into the very first like fighting arena and you see like your friendly little soldiers, one of them is performing chest compressions on another. Yeah. And she's like, and I'm like, oh my god, he's doing CPR. She's like, oh my god, he is. And then when we realized that every time you revive your teammate, you're doing CPR. You do chest compressions on them. We were just like, this game's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, Castle Crashers is still a good time. And if you haven't played it, you should.
Just so anyone knows who's watching, who is a fan, it does come with everything that was released.
Yes, I'm using the blacksmith, which was the only
DLC that is not included that I know of yet. He might be unlocked is the character from Battle Block Theater, Patty McHatstein or whatever the fuck his name is.
Okay.
He was released like late, right before Battle Block Theater came out on 360, and he's not a character you can pick right off the bat. But I'm not saying that he's not one that you can unlock, because like the game is also, you can pretty much every enemy you encounter in the game you can unlock as a playable character.
Yeah.
Like, depending on who you beat the game with. And so
yeah, I unlocked the Silver Knight too.
Yeah, like the Silver Knight, you don't have to go too far in the game. But like if you beat the game with like any of the original 4 knights, so there's like ice, fire, electricity, poison. And then poison is the green one. Like if you'll unlock another knight that you can go through the game and then unlock yet again another playable character. And like everybody's magic is different. Yeah. You'll get to a point though where you're like playing and you'll be like, this guy's abilities are the same as everybody else's. So like the uniqueness is not like 100% You know, like it's going to be different every single time, but like I'd say maybe 85% of the time you're going to have a different character. So,
So I was playing some other things, but I'm gonna let you guys talk about a game first. So who wants to go next?
I guess I will.
Okay.
I played about the first. Well, I don't know how really far I am in Link's Awakening, but I played the first few hours of Link's Awakening, and dude, that game is really charming and really just. The art style is just amazing. Like just walking around and looking at the world and the characters and the enemies and everything. Everything's just so kind of adorable. You know, it's just it's so. I don't even know how to describe it, man. It's
cute as fuck.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome, Corey. Because it is.
I know it is.
I have the game as well, and it's awesome.
It is. I've played through the first main dungeon, and I'm on that quest where you start walking the dog everywhere, and like it's been so long that I don't even remember what to do with the dog. You just kind of walk it around, I think, and just walk around and do stuff. But
do you get to sing "Walking the Dog" by Rufus Thomas?
Sure, I get that reference completely.
I'm glad. Want to make sure you're on the up and up.
Are you talking about the Bow Wow thing on the chain?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at that state. I'm at that point too. Like I beat the first dungeon, and now I have the Bow Wow like on the chain, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just like gonna run around.
Is it Lil Bow Wow?
No, it's a big Bow Wow.
There are little Bow Wows though.
There are little Bow Wows.
Little Bow Wows in Link's Awakening.
Yep.
But it's not. This is a normal Bow Wow.
Yeah.
It's a
normal
Bow Wow.
It's a chain chomp from Mario is what it is, and you just kind of I think you just have to kind of walk it around until they say okay you're done. But you know I'm really enjoying it. I thought that first dungeon was pretty fun, and you know it's been what 20 something years since I played it originally, and when I was playing it, it was my first Zelda game, and I didn't know what Zelda was until. You know,
you're like looking at man. This is a game with a lot of Mario references.
Well, I never owned Zelda on the NES. I never had a Super Nintendo until late, and I had a Game Boy and Link's Awakening. Right, like that was my first introduction to Zelda, and the next Zelda game I played was Ocarina of Time. So like, I never knew that there were like dungeons and you had to go find items to complete certain quests, and like I just didn't know. You know, so every time I played Link's Awakening, I would like go down to the beach, you know, stroll on down to the beach and grab the sword and just fight enemies and fight with the two kids that were throwing a ball around and go up to the woods and get lost and the raccoon would send me back to the whatever. And I was like, oh, I guess this is the game. I'm just going to go wander around now.
I win again.
So it's been a long time since I've actually played Link's Awakening, but it is a nice surprise, I would say. It is a good. It is one of the, and I know we have a question later, but like this trend of remakes or like you almost like reimaginings of the original game is like this game was a really nice surprise this year, and I knew I was going to play it. I knew I was going to like it because it's Zelda, right? Like I just kind of assume I'm going to, but. Right now, like I thought Fire Emblem or Gears for sure was going to win my game of the year. And right now I don't know, man. I'm really enjoying Zelda. And like, I'm not really experiencing the frame rate issues that other people are having, or I'm just too dumb to notice them. But I'm really enjoying it. Link's Awakening is, it's a pretty good game. You know, I see why people hold that game in high regards. So.
Now, in addressing what you just said, do you think it should be considered for Game of the Year?
I mean, I don't know. Do you think Resident Evil 2 should be considered for Game of the Year?
No.
Then, I mean, if we're going by that, then no.
I mean, well, and I'll save a lot of
personal Game of the Year.
I mean, it just, I mean, again, that just depends on how you want to look at it. I mean, more often than not, or like around here, we tend to be fast and loose with our rules.
No.
Yeah, baby.
Well, I mean, because
Daddy loves it fast and loose.
Rules.
yeah, exactly. But like, because I remember last year, like I called Hollow Knight one of the better old games I played, where Moose it was on his top 10. That's totally fine.
Well, that's because it just came to consoles. But yes.
Yeah, like I also think that like now having not played that because fucking September decided to vomit a shitload of video games this week. I was going to get it until last week happened, and all of a sudden I had getting 4 other games. But like, is there enough additional to that changes that game? Because from what I've heard, you could basically get a walkthrough of the old Game Boy game and get through New Link's Awakening.
Yeah, but I feel like there's quality of life changes.
Sure.
Like the map stuff and the quest log the memory quest log is a very nice addition. They have a map marking system like in Breath of the Wild that's pretty good.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
But see, now not to be reductive, because I'm not trying to take pot shots here, but that also kind of seems like, hey, it's 2019.
Yeah, but then like there's also like the art style of the game. Like you're going from like a Game Boy, like it was a Game Boy game, remade it as a Game Boy Advance, and now it is like
it went from green and dark green to
like it is. It looks really good. Like I'm thoroughly enjoying the game a lot, and I think there's enough changes to it where it could be in the same ballpark as Resident Evil 2. Right. But like if you wanted to sit there and have an argument about it, I'm not going to argue for it being in the same caliber as Resident Evil 2, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because it's not like it's not like they turned Link's Awakening into Breath of the Wild, right? It's just like a super graphical overhaul with some gameplay improvements and like, to Moose's point, it's not like Resident Evil 2 where like they literally remade the entire game from the ground up, perspective, gameplay elements, everything. Whereas Link's Awakening is just like this is a very, very pretty fresh refresh of this game, but it's still Link's Awakening like you remember it. So
see, we also have to remember Resident Evil 2 is a remake of a remake, isn't it?
What do you mean?
No.
Thought it was a remake of the GameCube remake.
There was no GameCube remake of 2.
There was no GameCube remake.
Or was it just the original?
It was just 1 and 0.
It's a remake of Resident Evil 2.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair. All right. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be wrong.
Wrong.
So,
it's okay.
Okay. What else you guys playing? You want to talk some Borderlands, Moose?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
Remnant.
Cool.
Remnant from the ashes. Oh,
don't worry, we'll get back to you. We're not leaving you in the lurch, Corey. It's fine.
All right,
cool.
All right. So, I was talking.
Brian beat Remnant.
In conversing with Matt and Jason, who beat Remnant because Matt, stays up during the day because he has to sleep, through the afternoon to work at night.
Yes.
And Jason, who is on paternity leave, he's on daddy duty. So they beat Remnant. And I said, you know what? I said, I had a tremendous amount of fun trying that last boss with the 3 of us. We got really good. We were doing really well. And then they beat it. And I was like, all right, well, I don't want to play that game. And I don't want to attempt that boss till it's the 3 of us again.
Yeah.
And so I said, guys, I was like, this Monday, as in today, I was like, I work from home. I can play. Let's get in a group together and let's do some Remnant. But and so Matt,
he said, let's Halo 2 this and finish the fight.
Let's finish the fight. So me and Matt, Matt was on. I got on early this morning. He was playing Borderlands, so I jumped in. We were playing Borderlands. Then Jason joined us, and then Jeff joined us before he had to log in for his work from home. And so we were just the four of us were just running around shooting shit in Borderlands, and then it was like, okay, well, are we ready to switch over to Remnant? And Jeff went and got ready to be working from home, doing his tasks. And Jason was like, I'm gonna go take care of the kid for a second. I'm like, I'm gonna go get some coffee, and everybody was doing their thing. We're like, we came back, got into Remnant, and it took us like two tries, maybe three. It was the third.
I think it was the third try.
I think it was the third try we knocked him down. And I told both of them, and like Matt's like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't do as well in this part of the fight. I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. I'm like, I haven't played this game since the last time we played it together. So like, it's going to take an adjustment period. So like, let's just relax. Let's just get into the game, focus on it, and we'll have some fun, Yeah,
and we almost beat him the first time. The second time, we all wiped pretty stupidly. Yeah, and the third time we got him.
We wrecked his house.
Third time we got him. Got him.
So Remnant was done. Played some Remnant. I've been playing Borderlands a lot since the last time we talked. I'm trying to just get to the point where I beat the game. I don't know. I don't think I'm as psyched about the game as I was when I first started playing it. Like, as I've been playing it, like I mentioned it to Matt and I mentioned it to Jeff, like I feel like the planets are just corridors.
Yeah.
Like they're not as open world as 1 and 2 were, where like it's just this huge expansive map and you can go, like you could just drive straight across to the waypoint. Like this time you gotta I spend more time opening the fucking map to figure out how I need to get to the waypoint instead of just driving to the waypoint to continue the mission. And it's annoying as hell. Like it's extremely annoying. And I'm just like, I'm not enjoying that. And then I'm also experiencing like spikes in difficulty. Like you and I, and you, me, and Jason were playing, and we were like getting killed left and right in that first part where we joined you, where we had to beat like the ball, you know what I mean, to like destroy the laser. Like that whole area starting up was like nothing but a nightmare. And then Jason joined my game, and he even said it out loud. He's like, "Is this cooperative?" Which means like you're playing cooperative, but it's competitive, like the original Borderlands, where it's like
power level and things like that.
Yeah, where it's first person to the loot wins. And he's like, because the level's not scaling. And I'm like, no. I'm like, it's cooperative. And we were facing enemies that were both like they were the level of that stage when you first get into it. They weren't scaled to my level. They weren't scaled to his level. And we were like, what is going on? And so like the difficulty spike is like all over the place with the game. And I'm just like, this is not fun. Like I'm playing the hunter and I have some gripes about the pet. The pet is overly aggressive. Like there's one boss that you fight and he's in like quote unquote like a theater room. He's in like Jacob. You're basically fighting an enemy in the Jacob's mansion. So you'll go to a planet that's all Jacob's and you're fighting in this theater. But the problem is the spawn point for you is right next to a hallway where there's enemies. Well, your pet just runs out that doorway and starts going and wailing on these enemies, and then it gets downed. Well, that burns your cooldown to wait for your pet to actually start the fight with the boss, not the fucking enemies 2 feet. So it's like, I don't want to...
What happens when you name your spider Leroy, Moose?
I don't want to fight them. But I didn't name my spider Leroy.
No, Jason and I did.
So, like, I feel like there could be better control over your pet, or your pet can only, like, attack what you're shooting. Like, I don't think, like, that's crazy to expect, like, the game to understand. Like, don't attack something until I start shooting it. You know what I mean? Or I tell, like the pet has a command. So, like, as a Beastmaster, you have two skills. You have a skill that tells your pet to do something to an enemy that you target. And in this case, it burrows underground, and my spider ant pops up below it and does a big AoE corrosive damage. Like the the Skag does a teleportation thing where it'll
Yeah.
drop on it and do attacks. And anyways, and then I have racks. I have the racks on racks on racks, as you
Mhm.
like to say,
Yep.
where they just fly out and do damage and bring the health back. And it's just like don't until I either start shooting something or I tell my spider ant to attack something, it should not be doing a fucking thing except running right next to me. Like it should be right by my fucking side.
Uh-huh.
You know, and so I get a little annoyed by that. I got annoyed to the point like yesterday where I did not want to. I was like, I don't even want to play Borderlands anymore. Like I'm like,
Okay.
I'm done. Like I don't want to deal with my pet. I don't want to deal with the way the map is worked. Like the map is laid out. I don't want to deal with any of this. And it's not like it would be different if it was like certain stages, but like all the stages are corridors, and they're just like it's
one
basically
on top
like
of the
the
other.
map is like a typography map where it's like, okay, well, you go up this lane, you're up this high. You go down this lane, you're down this low. And there's no way to get from like way up here down to like to the bottom unless you like teleport, you fast travel somewhere else and then drive there or something. Like I can't just walk across. Like it's annoying as hell. But so anyway, so Borderlands, Remnant, been playing, and then I played some more Forager, and I've come to the conclusion that build banks. You need to build banks. To build banks, you need to build vaults. Just build some vaults and build some banks. So vaults you can
You
put
went
shit
from
in.
vault hunting to building vaults.
And so
Is Forager a Borderlands prequel?
maybe it could be. But like you want to build vaults so that you can put shit in it that you'll need later, and then you want to build banks because the banks just make money for you. They
Okay.
just it makes a coin like every 20 seconds. And so while you're off doing something, you can come back and collect your coins, and then it helps you build up your money faster so that you can buy land plots and like discover like what the world is really about. But anyways, I'm enjoying that. And that's been
There's
played
a
little more
microcosm.
Astral Chain.
There's a microcosm of capitalism in that game in a weird way.
Yeah, there is. Totally. Played a little more Astral Chain. I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to play this game on like stupid easy because I just have a problem with the combat system in Platinum games. Like they're just, it's like I need you to press all of the buttons at all of the times or whatever, and it's just like, why does it have to be this difficult? You know what I mean?
I kind of feel like, not that like Platinum games aren't good, you know, but sometimes I feel like people, it's almost the same way for Nintendo in a way where like some people say Platinum games are better than maybe they really are at points. And like,
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the feeling that Astral Chain is one of those games. Just by just the way I hear people talk about it, they're like, "Yeah, it's amazing," and then they start talking and they're like, "But I don't really like this, and like some of this is kind of messed up, and the combat doesn't feel right." Like then they start like, instead of saying why it's amazing, they start picking apart like what they don't like, and it just always sounds like somebody. And it's not just Astral Chain either; it's other games too. Like,
I mean, Moose just did this with Borderlands.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah.
you know, it's just kind of like, are you sure you like this game? You know, and I understand you can like a game and still have like issues with it, you know, but that's just kind of the feeling that I get with Astral Chain. Is like people seem to like say they like it, but sometimes I'm not sure if they really do like it as much as they say they are.
Yeah.
Well-
Speaking as somebody who has the game and might play it someday. Well, here's the thing. I said I wanted to beat Fire Emblem before I started Astral Chain, and then Zelda came out.
Yeah.
So, whoops.
Well, that's
Did you,
your
ever
own
beat, did
fault.
you ever beat Fire Emblem? I don't remember.
No, but that was the other game I've been playing this week.
Okay. How far along are you in that?
About 65 or so hours.
Okay. How close are you to the final fight?
I don't know. They say
Okay.
they say the campaign's only about 50 to 60 hours, so, and I'm way past that, so
Well, isn't it like 20 chapters,
I don't know.
something like that?
I don't know.
Or, I think that's
I've been trying to stay away from all spoilers of Fire Emblem. I haven't even listened to, like, there's been spoiler casts put up on podcasts I listen to, like, you know, videos, YouTube videos that I've avoided. Like I've literally been avoiding everything about Fire Emblem, and then I'll go back and like maybe check out the other houses and their stories and stuff, and then maybe play through again because the game is good. It's a good time.
A buddy of mine at work is on his like third playthrough of that game.
Yeah,
he loves it.
yeah.
When I told him I got it, I fell in love with it, and bounced off of it. He's like, how did you bounce off? I go, you know what? I don't know.
Well, that game, I mean, if you don't like the combat, like that's the majority of the game, right? Like
doing the thing wasn't fun.
I wish there was a mode like, and I'm not saying this for me, but I think for people who enjoy Persona and stuff, I wish there was just a mode where like you could go in and do like the school stuff and like the teaching stuff without battling, right? And then there would be like an auto battle mode almost.
Yeah.
I think that would.
Well, I think there is an auto battle mode in it.
There's an easy mode, but it's not an auto battle mode.
Oh, okay. They need Fire Emblem auto chess. That's what they need.
And then you have someone like me who's playing it on the hardest difficulty and the permadeath mode, and I get 40 minutes into a fight and somebody dies, and yeah, there's a rewind mechanic, but when you use them all up and you are like an hour into a fight, and you have to restart. Maybe that's why I'm 65 hours into the game and not finished.
Perhaps.
Well, and I feel like it's interesting that these three games were brought up in succession because I think that sort of points to how difficult the discussion around any game really is, because it depends on what do you get out of a game. Like with Platinum games, they require they seem to require more inputs because the actual interactivity with it tends to be more of a rhythmic dance almost, rather than conquering objectives. And then with Fire Emblem, like, you like the combat in that, and I was super into the story and characters.
Yeah,
the combat just didn't do anything for me.
I like the combat way more than I like the story stuff because, like, I mean, I get it. Like, I like talking to all the kids and whatever anyway. Like, that's cool. But like, I like the combat, and that's why I like Valkyria Chronicles so much too. Is like, I love the combat, and so I don't know. It's why I also like Wargroove, although I think Wargroove's a little bit too hard for my taste. Although I know they did add that easy mode, and which I still want to go back to. But also, there's another game that I downloaded that I didn't start yet. But Moose, you listen to Sacred Symbols, right?
No,
you don't.
Sorry,
no, you don't. Oh, no. Well, there's a game that they brought up a lot this summer on that show called Felseer, the Arbiter's Mark. And it's basically a love letter to Final Fantasy Tactics. And so like I kind of want to check that out too. It's got a really cool hand-drawn art style, and there's over 100 party members that you could possibly have, and
Jesus.
Yeah, it's got a really cool vibe to it that I really want to check out. It's $24.99. It's on Switch and PlayStation 4. I think it's also on Vita actually.
Cool.
It just came out this year, so for you people who still use that thing.
Still use my Vita, shut up.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Whoa.
So addressing Borderlands, like I agree with about everything you said, Moose. I agree with all that, but I will say this: my favorite session that I've had with Borderlands 3 thus far was when you, Jason, Jeff, and I were all playing together.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that it's because like that was the thing I wanted from Borderlands. I wanted over the top. I wanted a bit of chaos. I wanted to shoot stuff and make colors happen. And and for the idea of having that again is why I would keep playing that game. Because as much as I've played that game solo, like, you're right. If I'm trying to figure out where I'm going in any game, I should not look at the map and be more confused.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I should look at the map and say, like, oh, over here.
Yes.
That is not in Borderlands. You can say what you want about stories, whatever. Like,
I don't think the story is what draws people to Borderlands.
I'm not. I mean, I get critics. They have to look at every aspect of the game, and I think of all the aspects of the game, like, the story is pretty damning for Borderlands. So I can understand how everybody comes to that. That I've not been completely devoid of laughter in the game, because some of the shit that has come out of characters' mouth has made me chuckle. I mean, I think if anybody wants anything written well in this game, go to the Typhon logs. I would actually argue that if someone could do a YouTube video of all the Typhon log dialogue, that's where you're going to find some good stuff, because listening to that guy talk is hilarious, because he sounds like that crazy uncle at a family reunion that has like the weird batshit stories that never really make any sense, but for some reason you can't stop listening.
I agree.
Like, that's what I mean. And I don't remember if I said this on a show or not, but I picked Mose the gunner, and I think that I actually lucked into picking the character that looks at the situations the same way I do, because when I finished the Truant fight, someone said, "Oh, you killed Truant," and you're like, "Oh wait, his name was Truant," because the boss, all he says the entire time is his goddamn name. And I'm like, and I'm like, Mose, you and I are here. But yeah, that I do think the overarching criticism of the game is it feels like it should have came out 1 or 2 years after Borderlands 2, not 7 years later.
That seems like the going consensus. That's what they were saying on Giant Bomb last week. Or this week, whatever. What's this week? I don't know.
What day is it? I don't know.
It's the 23rd.
I usually hold Giant Bomb cast for the weekend because I'll actually have time to listen to it. So I never know what episode I'm on.
But that, I mean, I would be remiss if I said that doing the thing in Borderlands 3 is not fun, because I still think the shooting is good in that game. Like, is it among the vanguard of first-person shooters? Probably not. But I think they did improve shotguns a lot, because every time you fire a shotgun, you feel it, as well as you see a visual representation of the impact really well this time around. I think they kind of fucked up rocket launchers, as far as I'm concerned.
I haven't really messed with them to.
I usually carry a rocket launcher, and I don't know if I've just had a bunch of bad ones, or if like there's something wonky about it. But there always was like that moment in a chaotic firefight where you could use a rocket launcher to just sort of back everybody away from you and take a breath. And I've not had that experience with any of the rocket launchers I've found in Borderlands 3 thus far. And like I said, the idea of playing co-op is way more appetizing than just going through that game solo. Whereas like 1 and 2, I could solo. The only pre-sequel I played was with you, Moose, and so I don't know how soloable it is.
I played it pretty much solo, and I feel it falls in the same like bucket as Borderlands 2. It's very soloable. I should say. Like, I feel like it's. And
I don't know if they've sold this game as an open world game, but it's not very open.
No, it's not. Like we said, it's like the maps are very corridor and very like it feels.
I mean, like even like Pandora, even on Pandora, where it's like the corridors are just really really wide.
Yeah, like you feel like it's open world because they expanded the size of the corridors,
Mhm.
but it's like no, you can't just go over that way.
Mhm.
Like you can't do it because the map won't allow you to do it, and you'll fall off the edge of the map. Like the game is very like put the blinders on,
Mhm.
and this is the way that you're going. You're moving through the world the way we want you to, not like hey, just wander off in the fucking car or something if you
Yeah.
want. And it just I'm very disappointed by that. I've been like I said, I've been experiencing some difficulty spike issues,
Mhm.
like I was talking about earlier. Like even when I joined your game and we were getting our ass handed to us by the enemies, and I'm like, this is like insane. My weapon, and it's not that our weapons, like my weapons, are like the same level I am, and
Mhm.
they're not like it's like they're barely even doing damage to them, and the enemies are like my level or a level below, and it's like what the fuck is going on?
Well, I mean that aspect I actually really like. I mean, it would be nice if I could get power leveled up to where you and Jason are, just for when endgame happens.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that if you jump into my game, you'll see the enemies at closer to your level, and I'll still see the enemies at closer to mine, and the damage is scaled live.
Yeah,
Like
right.
that's a cool thing as far as I'm concerned.
Like I don't mind that aspect of it. What I'm just saying is like the difficulty spikes will be like you're through sections of the game and the enemies are like the same level as you and they take like 40 clips to kill,
Mhm.
and you'll move to another section where they're the same level as you,
And you'll eat through them.
you'll kill them in like 4 bullets. You know, like there's no. It seems to be like like extreme peaks and valleys of
Mhm.
like what you're fighting and all that, and it just gets the bosses get frustrating, and you're just like I'm getting to the point where like the other night I was just like, Jason, you want to co-op? Because that was the only way I was going to play Borderlands last night. Was like if you wanted to co-op, because if you didn't want to co-op, then I was going to play something else.
Like that's kind of where I'm at. Like I'll keep playing just because, like tomorrow morning I'll probably jump on Borderlands in the hopes of seeing Jason on.
Yeah, which he probably will be because
and then
he's got a baby that doesn't
really
do anything.
Yeah, I mean, even then, he's like, "Hey, we should do Remnant Adventure Mode." And I'm like,
well, that's what he said
if you want
today.
to do that, let's do that because this is not great.
It sounds like I kind of made the right decision not buying Borderlands right at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, now the shooting is still fun. Like the mechanics of it are still fun. It's just there's a lot that's holding that game back.
Yeah, like I feel
Go
like the weapons are cool, like the different fire modes. Like you can get an elemental weapon, and it'll be like, you know, one fire mode is incendiary, and if you hit down on your D-pad, it becomes shock instead of incendiary. And I think it's like cool that they have alternate fires for like the weapons. Like a lot of the doll weapons, which are machine guns, which I love. It's like it is either a 3-round burst, 4-round burst, 5-round burst, or it's semi-automatic. And I like that, and that's cool that they work these functions into the weapons to kind of expand on the weapons. But then that's the other thing. It's like, okay, well now I have to use the D-pad to access the alternate fire. Well, there goes me using the D-pad as my weapon selection wheel. So like instead of just being able to be like, okay, I'm taking on an enemy, I'm using a machine gun or an assault rifle, the assault rifle version of the gun, I need to switch to the corrosive submachine gun I have, which is like left on the D-pad. I can't just hit left on the D-pad because left and right on the D-pad now are cycling through your quests.
Mm-hmm.
And up, although up is nice because it marks an enemy. Because like if you're in the shit and you're the tank person of the group, you could be like, hey, here is the main baddie that we need to take down. Mark them, and everybody can focus on them and take him down. So it's kind of nice that you get those raid marks like you would in an MMO. But it's still kind of takes away from like what traditionally was Borderlands.
Mhm.
And I feel like they took one step forward and two steps back. If that makes sense
I
with the game.
I think there are plenty of steps forward, but they get like the with the world and everything. You're right; they took steps backwards.
Yeah.
I think the alternate fire methods are cool.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
That's a way to move forward. And even while you were talking, I thought of like several other things. I'm like, okay, this is a good thing. This is a good thing, but still in 2019, it's not really like a step forward. But yeah, I want to talk about two other things real quickly before we move on. Or go ahead, Moose. You're about to
I
say
was just
something.
gonna say, like, my other complaint is like it's 2019. When I go to my social menu, why am I seeing people that don't have the game? You know,
Yeah, that's true.
like
That's
I go
annoying.
to I'll go to send an email to you, and everybody knows you're Infinite_Rewind.
Mhm.
Like, I'll have to go through everybody that's online.
Mhm.
If you're not online,
It
then I
doesn't. It doesn't just put like all the people who are playing Borderlands up front.
No.
That's because
Well,
that's
no,
how
no,
like
no,
a lot
no.
of other games do it.
Well, it
Mhm.
does it as in like everybody that's online, and then it alphabetically, and then it goes everybody that's offline alphabetically. And I'm like, I know this motherfucker doesn't have the game. Why is he even in this list?
Yeah,
Like, why is he in
that's-
this list?
Seems
You know,
a little
like,
backwards.
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
only people that have logged into the game and actually played the game that you can ping their account and say, yes, this motherfucker has played our game,
Mhm.
should be on that list. You
Yeah.
know?
That seems
It's
backwards.
just it's a struggle because
Actually-
it's cool because I can
I
send.
mean, you might
Matt
as well just go to your friends list at that point
yeah,
and send the invite that way.
right. But I mean, like you have to do it from in the game to be able to send them items. So like I'll send Matt items because it's linked to a trophy. But then also it's like I don't need this gun anymore. Oh, Matt could probably use it.
Yeah,
Boom,
Matt's
send
like
it to
6
Matt.
levels behind me. Here you
Yeah,
go.
like, yeah, exactly. He's like 10 levels, 6 to 10 levels behind me. I can give it to him because I'm actually done with it and I've out leveled it, So
That reminds me, that's one thing that I've liked about the game. Like I haven't engaged with it as much as I've wanted to because I just keep Borderlands does throw a lot at you, but the loyalty stuff in Borderlands is interesting. Like if you're using the same gun for a long time, like
Yeah.
that manufacturer will send you a new gun.
Yeah, like they'll send. It depends. It could be an epic, could be
Yeah.
a superior, could be. I haven't gotten a legendary. Like I was
No.
saying before, I love Dahl's assault rifles,
Mhm.
and like I've been working with Dahl. Like I've been working up a lot of rep with Dahl, and that's cool. And like Torg. Like I like
Mhm.
Torgs because
Oh yeah.
I like the missiles, the explosive ammo that they have, and like I use their pistols. So it's nice because you can switch from like obviously they'll make different style like weapons. Like
Mhm.
Dahl makes all like the pistols, the assault rifles, all that stuff. But like mainly when I see a Dahl assault rifle that's like a better superiority like level wise than what I have, I'm like, yes, I'll take
Yeah,
it.
picking that up.
Use
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I'll make it happen. So but yeah, it is. I think it is cool, like you were saying, like having the loyalty to a manufacturer.
And then like when you do a legendary hunt, like you don't have to go turn it into Hammerlock. He just sends you a sniper rifle.
Yeah, which is
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Doing
I will have
targets
to
for
say-
0.
like even though we've complained about the map and it being a bunch of corridors, like the one thing that the map is awesome about is you can fast travel anywhere. You
Yeah.
don't have to be at a fast travel like checkpoint to go. Like you could go from you're on a planet and be like, I want to go to this other planet, and you don't have to like go to a fast travel. You could be
You don't
like,
have to go back to Sanctuary. You don't have
Yeah.
to.
you don't have to go back to the ship, which is Sanctuary. Spoilers for those who haven't played, but it's like you don't
It's
have
the
to go.
fourth one of these. Come on.
Yeah, like you don't have to go to your ship to go down to the other planet. You can
Yeah.
just fast travel right to that planet, and I think that that's nice. But like I said, it's like the maps just feel like very corridorish, if that's even a word. But anyways, you were gonna say
I'm gonna talk about because a bunch of things happened and a lot of games came out last week, probably because of Apple Arcade. But no, I'm not going to talk about a mobile game. I guess I can because I downloaded Sayonara Wild Hearts. I haven't started it yet. I'm really excited for it.
It's on Switch.
Yeah, I know. I have it on Switch. That's where I got it.
It's relatively cheap too.
Yeah, it is. It's like $15.
$50.
I've heard it's only an hour though, so
Yeah.
But whatever. It's Simogo and it looks really cool. But I did Finji put out a game called Wilmot's Warehouse, and for someone who's not very organized and doesn't really like organizing, Wilmot's Warehouse is a very zen and chill time. I would highly recommend that game because I found myself just moving stuff around my little warehouse, and then when you have like a prep time, and then when you choose that you're ready to start, you just say, "Hey, we're starting," and then a whole bunch of people come to your counter and ask for several different items, and you basically have to get the orders right. Just the importance of organizing. And the quicker you do it, the more stars you get. The more stars you get, currency, blah, 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 blah. It's really fun. Finji also put out a game that I almost picked up on Switch called Overland. That came out on Apple Arcade as well. Check that. Overland. It's 24 on Switch. I don't know what it would be on Apple Arcade, but I've seen gameplay of it. I did not actually play it. I'm just going to talk about these guys because they're really good. Finji's a cool little studio, and based on Wilmot's Warehouse alone, and I think they did Night in the Woods too, or also. Good people there, except for that dude from Night in the Woods who was a shitbag. May he rest in peace.
Okay.
But
yeah, this looks cool, man.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, Overland. Yeah, it looks good.
The last thing I'm going to talk about is y'all know I like some Hitman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to explain that to you guys.
No, really, you haven't streamed it at all.
No,
one
never.
would know that you like it.
Exactly.
I didn't know.
So there's a new Hitman game out.
What?
Yeah.
A new game or a new level?
There's a new Hitman game out, but you don't play as Agent 47. You play as an annoying as fuck goose.
Oh.
And you piss people off. It is amazing. I said this in the Nerds Gone Rogue community on Facebook. I created a blood feud between two neighbors who otherwise would not have interacted without me fucking up their day. And it was a good old time. I walked into one's yard while he was reading the paper. I took his slipper. He was not happy with me. So I ran to the other's yard because there was a gate between the two. I took her vase, made him break it. So she got pissed off at him. And then I made her cut his prize-winning rose. So now he's pissed off at her. And I'm pretty sure, like, in my mind's eye, these two just hate each other forever. Like, they have become the Montagues and the Capulets, as far as I'm concerned. And doing that as a goose is hilarious. You waddle around. I mean, this game is by an Australian developer called House. It's called Untitled Goose Game. This is immediately like in Game of the Year consideration for me. This game is fun. All you really do is pick stuff up with your beak, and you can honk at people. There was a little video on Twitter of someone using the goose to torture a child. And he's just wandering around with his wings outstretched and honking, and the kid is just like cowering on the ground. And the caption the person used was, "Where is your God now?" This game is like, check out my Twitter for that because it's on there. This game is hilarious with a capital H. You could pick up a bottle and honk with the bottle in your mouth, but it changes the acoustics. You could pick up a harmonica and honk with the harmonica, and it makes harmonica noises. Oh, this game's good. This game is really, really good. And all you do is go and annoy people. Like, it is the perfect game for me. Reba has started calling me Goose because this game is basically me incarnate. And yeah, it has made me genuinely happy. I mean, there's so little in this game that does not make me smile. From the way the goose just waddles around, every so often his little tail or her little tail, its little tail just waggles for no reason. There are so many brilliant little touches to this game that I cannot say enough about it. I've done like 3 or 4 areas, and yeah, this game is up to this point kind of perfect. So yeah, that's the last thing that I have to talk about. Does anybody else have anything to add?
No, sir. No.
Negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Negative Ghost Rider. What?
The pattern is full.
Pattern is full. Okay, so what do you say we go to questions then?
Yeah.
Sure. What up?
Email us your questions. nerdsgoneroguepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter @nerdsgonerogue. Instagram @nerdsgonerogue_official. Facebook group, facebook.com/group/nerdsgonerogue community, or Discord. Find us at Nerds Gone Rogue there. First up this week, the man, the myth, the legend, Deshaun Malone. It's time for Nintendo 64 questions, y'all. What is your favorite Nintendo 64 game? What is the one you hate the most? What game hasn't aged as well as you'd hoped? Answers, people. And then he gives us this emoji. What are your favorite Nintendo 64 games?
I'll go first. GoldenEye 64. Mario 64.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge fan of Pilot Wings. And then I would probably say Blast Corps.
Okay.
Didn't age as well. So there's that. Those are mine.
Corey?
Man, that's tough. I think my favorite Nintendo 64 game is probably... I don't know. I really like Mario 64, but also I really like Majora's Mask. Probably one of those. I also really like GoldenEye, although I know that GoldenEye and Perfect Dark didn't really age as well as, people would have hoped.
Yeah.
Just because the evolution of first-person shooters and a second stick and all that stuff.
Y-axis.
The game I hate the most is probably Donkey Kong 64. I hate that game so much. Like, it's not even that it's a bad game. It's just like you have to switch the monkeys to get the different colored bananas, and it's just annoying because you can see bananas that you can't get even though you're like standing right next to it. It's just awful. It's terrible. They should have stopped at Banjo-Kazooie, let me tell you.
Ooh. Shots fired.
Actually, Banjo-Tooie and Conquer weren't that bad. But
Yeah.
yeah.
My favorite Nintendo 64 game is probably GoldenEye. And I don't really think that's like my favorite game just because it was a great game. I think it was just like my favorite times. Because like I would go to parties and I'd see people playing Nintendo 64 and I'm like, oh, they're playing GoldenEye. And my girlfriend at the time, she'd be like, oh, you should go beat them in GoldenEye.
Right.
And that was because like in when I was that age, like I had my uncle Perry. He had a Nintendo 64, and like most of my friends would go over to his place and play the game, and all of us got really, really good at playing that game. So whenever I went to parties, I would basically be like, okay, someone set the rules and see if you can beat me. And they're like, and you know, if I'm at a party with people I don't know, they're like, oh, who's this jack off? I'm like, and then at one point I said, let's make it interesting. Who wants to bet $5? And then everyone would be like, oh yeah. And then 25 kills later and no deaths, they're like, you're really good at this game. I'm like, yeah, I am. Now, granted, that never translated into anything else, but you know, I really loved the fact that I was kind of the big dude on campus at a game for a time. I think the game I hated, despite playing a shit ton of it, was Turok.
Oh boy, Turok was awesome.
Like it was probably one of the first games where I said like, this is really good but really bad, because the draw distance in that was unapologetically horrible. And I think that like if I was playing, I think there was a 2-player mode, right? There was like a co-op mode in that, right? Am I crazy?
In Turok?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe in the second one there was.
I might be thinking of something else then, but Turok is jumping out at me as something I did not like. I was never a fan of the Donkey Kong 64. I didn't like Donkey Kong Country either.
Yeah, I really didn't either.
Period, but sure.
Say that again?
I didn't like Donkey Kong, period.
Yeah.
Any of it. So
I mean, I like the original Donkey Kong games. And
yeah, like where you're climbing the ladders and stuff and avoiding the barrels. But like
And then-
anything after that, I was like, I wasn't really like wowed by it. I'm like, I need to play this.
like when it came back on the Wii, I was like, all right, this is better. And then when I played Tropical Freeze on Wii U, like that was really good. And Tropical Freeze on Switch is really good.
Funkin' mode.
Sure.
You didn't get funky on Tropical
Oh
Freeze?
no, I got funky. Oh, I got funky. We're not going to talk about it.
That's
I got
it.
Funky.
That's the beat to Funky Town.
Oh, jeez. Thanks, Towley.
Want to get high?
No. I don't think any of those games have aged well. Any of them.
Nope.
I think the ideas of Mario 64 are still present in games today, and I feel like that makes it important. I don't think. I mean, you want to talk about how they've updated Ocarina of Time? You can talk about that all you want. Go play an Ocarina of Time on Nintendo 64. It doesn't look great.
Mm-mm. That's true. That's a good game that hasn't aged well.
Like I mean, it's like that or Majora's Mask. Like none of it has aged really well. I mean, I think Banjo-Kazooie is probably my favorite 3D platformer that I could still go back and play if I had a Nintendo 64. And that's just because I had so much love for that series. If I had an Xbox One, I would definitely buy Rare Replay just to play those games. Because that, Tooie, and Nuts and Bolts are all fun times.
They're all on Game Pass, actually, by the way.
Well, I don't have an Xbox One, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, I'm just saying, you wouldn't have to buy Rare Replay. You could just get Game Pass.
I would give Rare money. I want them to be good again. Make Rare great again. So let's move on. Samantha Cross. Are you guys excited for Last of Us Part 2? Because I am.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I didn't like Last of Us mainly because I feel like Naughty Dog's shooting mechanics are shit. And then they make you rely on stealth.
Yeah.
So I thought the gameplay was a little janky. Like if I had to give it a rating, like out of 5 stars, the gameplay would get like a 2.5, maybe a 3.
Mm-hmm.
and then the story is like an obvious 5. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed the story, and I had no like after beating the game, I was like, that was all right, suffering through that to get that story. But like in seeing the videos for like the new one for Last of Us 2, it seems like you have like a lot more ways out of a situation than you did in the first one. Like if you were discovered by a clicker, you're done. Unless you had a shiv to like kill it off, you were dead. There was no like trying to fight it off and like shoot it or anything. If it discovered you, it was like an instant kill.
Yeah.
And so like they had this emphasis on stealth, and it was like, okay, well, stealth can be an emphasis without it being the end all be all of your game mechanics. And so it's looking like The Last of Us 2, you'll have a lot more ways out of a situation than it having to be stealth, and it won't be instant kill if you're discovered. So I'm liking that. So
we haven't really seen clickers yet, have we?
No, we just seen
people
fighting like human people.
Yeah.
Which, and then if you're gonna go off that, then it would probably be the same as like you could draw the same conclusion. I would feel with like clickers, like it wouldn't be irrational to draw that same conclusion. Is what I'm trying to say. So you can go down the same path and be like, okay, well, if you're gonna have multiple outs with like humans, you could probably have multiple outs with like clickers and stuff like that, and like maybe build up a better arsenal. And I don't know, maybe have a shiv that doesn't break after like the first use because it's like, I don't know, metal and it shouldn't break after the first use. But I mean, they're trying to build like mechanics into a game, so I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the story. I'm excited for it to be like, we're definitely getting a release date tomorrow. Like they have to. Like Neil Druckmann has like been like on fire.
He's been really active on Twitter.
He's been really active on Instagram, posting the pictures, talking about its time, and it's like, okay, we're getting a release date. And then, we were talking about it for Nerds Gone Platinum tomorrow. Like that's probably not going to be the only thing, at the State of Play. Like
I think it better not be.
Like I'm feeling like it'll get like 15 minutes maybe. If it's a 30-minute, rest of it'll be like whatever they want to highlight, because we still got to figure out when, if Neo 2 follows the same path as Neo 1, Neo 2 will be launching early next year, because there was like, they had the open beta for 1, then they had the alpha, then they had the beta, then they had the open beta, and then they released the game like the next year. And if they follow the same type of pattern that they did before, we should hear something about that, So I'd love them to just fucking come out of nowhere with Blue Point and have them talk about their game, the game that they're developing. Isn't it Blue Point that did Shadow of the Colossus?
Yes.
Yeah, so they did Shadow of the Colossus, and now they've
been quiet for a while.
And the next game that they're working on is supposedly more complex than anything they've ever done. And it's like, okay, well, are you doing a remaster, or are you doing your own game? Because I mean, who knows? Sony could have been like, hey, we've got this game that we want to do, and all of our studios are busy, but you guys have been knocking it out of the fucking park with your remakes or your remasters. Like, here, take this game and run with it, So that could be something too. It doesn't just because that's their pedigrees, remakes, doesn't mean that that's going to be their next game, So
what if Blue Point is doing Bloodborne 2?
I would much rather have Studio Japan be on point with that for Bloodborne 2. I don't think I would have a problem with Blue Point doing Bloodborne 2. It's a good question. It's a good question for a Bloodborne fan / Soulsborne fan, because it's like, it's more Bloodborne, but it's not From Software.
I mean, yeah, like if they were to say, yeah, Blue Point's doing Bloodborne 2, I'd be like,
yeah, it'd be like, let me see it in action.
Okay, all right. You know what? Let's be honest. Anybody's doing Bloodborne 2, I'm buying Bloodborne 2.
Well, yeah, I agree,
hands down. But I'm not going to sit here and get like foaming at the mouth, excited for it, because if it's out of From Software's hands, there's a severe chance it could go off the rails in weird ways.
Right.
but yeah, like, what are your thoughts on Last of Us 2, Corey?
I mean, I'm not really interested at all. I barely played the first one,
Okay.
and I just not interested, honestly, to be 100%.
See, I feel like we have, like, Corey seems to be like a very, like, Corey's more of like an Xbox fan because he's got like the
I mean, it has nothing to do with that, though.
I'm not saying it has anything to do with it. I'm saying like we have two sides of a coin here because, like,
Sure.
I know you like Gears, I know you like Halo, and then like you look at Sony's game and you're like, I'm not interested in The Last of Us 2.
No,
Because
but
like, I come from
two
the
of my
side
favorite games this gen are God of War and Horizon.
I understand that, and I opened that conversation very poorly. I'm sorry. Like, what I was trying to say was like it's very, like, I'm looking at it from the point of view where it's like Sony is offering something different, and now it's like, okay, like, I want Last of Us 2. I don't want any more Gears. Like, I looked at Gears and I'm like, Gears is cool, still not enough to buy a Xbox for.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll play it on PC when I buy a PC. But, you know, and like, you're very much like, no, I'm not interested in The Last of Us 2. And it might just be because of the game.
Well, it's mostly that, but also I'm not like that impressed with Naughty Dog's gameplay stuff. Like, I just don't think they're
like, we're in the same camp with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's why I think like Uncharted is just like an okay game, right? Like, I like the characters and I like their interactions and stuff. Like, I think that story building stuff is cool, but like, I don't like, for me, it's like, I'm gonna wait till this game's on sale to play it because I don't think the gameplay and like the enemy AI is good enough for me to pay $60. Like, I've always felt that way about Naughty Dog stuff, and the only game I've truly loved of theirs was Jak and Daxter, the first one. But it's not like I'm a huge Jak and Daxter fan. I just thought it was fun and whatever. And I actually did not like Jak 2 or 3. So, I mean, I
think Jak 2 was the one that most people did not like.
Yeah. I mean, they changed it to like some weird open world GTA game, and it was like, oh, this isn't what I wanted from a sequel. But it's just like the reason for Last of Us Part 2 is like, for me, aside from like it being PlayStation exclusive or whatever, or gameplay stuff, it's like, I want to, like, this is going to come off sounding weird, but stick with me. I want to enjoy my games, like be happy or how do you put it? Like, I feel like with the limited amount of time I have and like outside of work, just like stress and weird negative stuff and just all that kind of stuff, like, I don't need that in the thing that I'm trying to get away from that stuff.
Yeah, you used to get away, like, your enjoyment.
Yeah, like,
you don't want this. You don't want to feel the stress of playing the game because you're like, I'm trying to get away from stress in my life.
Yeah, like,
that makes sense.
And like, just the way that like that first one opened, and like that first 20 minutes of that game, and like then like the next couple hours, I just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I can't do this. And like, that's why I'm not interested in The Last of Us. Like, I'm way more interested in like a Horizon sequel or God of War sequel or Ghost of Tsushima, that kind of thing, than like to do this again. I don't know. I don't really care for like feeling that way,
Okay.
Like looking for, like, like you mentioned Ghost of Tsushima, like, we will not hear about that game, and Sony would be stupid to even say anything about that game until after Last of Us 2 comes out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
State of play.
Look, they've got Death Stranding and Last of Us Part 2 right now. Like, Ghost of Tsushima should be the last thing on their mind in terms of marketing.
That should be summer, if not next fall, and just go to Sucker Punch and be like, listen, we love your game. Hey, if you're done with it now, just keep polishing it.
Yep.
I mean,
like make improvement. If you've got things that could make it into the game because you were short on time, guess what? You have like a whole nother year. Let's get it going. Like add those quality of life, stuff for the gamers. So, anyways,
So I go back and forth on Last of Us 2. I genuinely loved the first one, but I don't like. I'm very much in the camp that like that story did not need a sequel.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is like I mean I know what happens, and like I've
Sure.
heard spoiler casts and stuff. Like just doing this for so long and everything. Like I feel like The Last of Us is one of those games that should have just been standalone, and like just been left alone. It's the same way I feel like about the way BioShock was, right? Where like that game didn't really need sequels or whatever, even though like I think BioShock Infinite probably ties things together in a way that makes it cohesive, but still it's like yeah.
Well, the hindsight on BioShock 2 is it's actually better than it deserves more credit than it got. I think the fact that it exists as a BioShock name holds it back. Like if that was just another game, it'd be fine. But in like BioShock Infinite, well, the retroactive problems that it has, because it does have some, I still had a lot of fun playing that game. But and like I can see how Infinite fits in as like a BioShock story more so than 2. But Last of Us 2, I'm willing to give the chance because Last of Us 1 was written so well. So like these guys wrote that story really, really well. So I'll give them a chance to add to it. And and I hope it's good. I mean, I've not been the biggest Naughty Dog fan. I've not liked Uncharted. I did like the Jak and Daxter games. I did not like Crash when they did it because they did the original Crash, right?
Yeah.
And so like I've not liked more Naughty Dog games than I've liked. I'm not going to say they don't make good games because whether I like them, that doesn't mean they're bad. But I'm tentative on Last of Us 2. I go back and forth, but I'm tentative. It looks great, but gameplay matters. Let's move on to Ashley Davidson's questions. What are your thoughts on the current run of remakes? It seems companies are taking a whole new approach to remakes like Link's Awakening, Resident Evil 2, and Final Fantasy VII, and others. What game do you want to see remade like this?
I like the new. Like, I have no problem with the remakes. Like, if you're gonna do a remake, there's a difference between a remaster and a remake. Obviously, like if you're gonna sit there and just like be Nintendo and be like, we're gonna keep hey, here's all the games that were on Wii U. Now they're on Switch. Pay the same fucking price for it. We're not gonna drop it. Like, that's trash.
Some of them are more.
Yeah,
Right,
Like Donkey Kong.
So,
Captain
like,
Toad.
right? But if you're going to turn around, if you're going to be a company like Capcom and really invest in like a remake like Resident Evil 2 and put it out there where it's totally different, or like Link's Awakening where, I mean, it's not totally different, but it looks better. Like you can't say you can't look at Link's Awakening on the Switch and look at the Game Boy Advance version and be like, this does not look better. You know what I mean? Like some quality of life stuff, it looks better. Might play a little bit better.
Imagine if they just put Link's Awakening on Switch.
Oh, the Game Boy version?
Yeah. Imagine if they did that.
Not even the Game Boy Color version, just the Game Boy version.
I'm not sure even the most ardent of Nintendo fans wouldn't be pissed.
Right. So, I mean, if you're doing remakes like to that capacity, like that's awesome.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm fine with that because I feel like the video game industry, as far as consoles go, is trash when it comes to preserving games. Like PCs Like you can buy a game and you can play it on as long as you're
As long as someone has updated something somewhere, you can.
or
use it.
not even that. Like as long as your rig has some remnants of that old rig that used to run it, like
Yeah.
you're good to go. Like you can play that game on and on until the break of dawn.
Mhm.
But anyways, I feel remakes are good. We get a lot more remakes, obviously, in the console space, just because it's more it's another way for them to get people to pay for money, pay money for stuff. But I feel like in a way they could be good things, like Link's Awakening and
I agree.
Resident Evil 2. I think it could be a good thing. Can it be a bad thing? Yes.
Oh hell yeah!
Like if you're just going to remaster a game and not even like Dark Souls Remastered is fucking like a huge example of like still having the issues from the like the Xbox and the PS3 versions, and it's like you didn't really even try and fix anything. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
mean, Dark.
just no,
Yeah.
no,
Like
just,
I want.
no,
Like
no.
I want to
No.
argue with you, but like I
No.
also know that like I'm
No.
being a shithead by arguing with you.
No, we're not going to have that argument.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. It's characteristic to the game. It's the way the game. I understand what you're saying.
Well, I want you to understand my point of view here. Like I'm conflicted even trying to bring that up. So I
Right.
want you to
No,
understand.
no, I do, and I'm just like that's a conversation for like 3 podcasts, like lengths time. But anyways, and then so if we're gonna talk remakes, I'd love to see. I know they did it before, and it'll probably never happen. But I'd love to see Metal Gear Solid, the first one on PlayStation, remastered. I mean, for all consoles, it'd be fine. But I'd like to see it. Like I know they did the Twin Snakes, but I'd love to see. I'd like to see it remastered to the point where it's kind of not like Twin Snakes. It plays exactly like the original PlayStation version did. It's got updated graphics, like and some quality of life adjustments. So, right, that was her question. She was like, "What's your
What game do you want to see remade like this? If they did
Yeah.
that in Metal Gear Solid, I'd play it again. I'd try it again.
I've actually been watching Matt. We talked about this before, but I was actually watching Metal Gear Scanlan and the Giant Bomb Premium stuff, and it actually like really made me want to play the original Metal Gear because like I think that perspective in that game just is really cool. Like I think just visually it's cool.
The original Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not the MSX ones, but the Metal Gear Solid first one. That solid Snake guy.
That's the only Metal Gear Solid.
What I mean, I also like that Yakuza, the remakes of Yakuza are coming out.
Yeah, those are nice.
I mean,
Yeah, those are
I
cool.
think those are probably more just remasters than remakes, but also that's a series that has a weird amount of praise throughout gaming, but it seems like very few people have played, myself included, which is why I'm probably going to attempt to play them all next year.
Well, wasn't the first remake PS Plus game 1 month?
It was Kiwame, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence. Like as someone who's not gonna play Final Fantasy VII when it comes out because I didn't like it the first time. Why would I play it remade if I didn't like it? I do think that like there's a weird amount of rose-tinted glasses being cast on that game. Like everyone's like, "Oh, it's Final Fantasy VII. It looks better. Okay, so this is gonna be great." I think there's a very severe possibility of a rude awakening with this remake because like there are examples in other media where people have tried to remake shot for shot or come up with a modern take on something and it is flubbed in spectacular fashion. And I think that But yes, exactly. I think Final Fantasy VII has a weird potential for that. Now, do I expect it to fail? No. I think even if that remake is bad, that thing is going to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like, when you mess with people's nostalgia, that tends to not go well.
Right.
It's because I think that this is more than just playing a game as you remember it. Because we remember, like, for instance, like, I remember the original Dragon Warrior games way better than trying to go back and play them would be.
Coming to Switch on Friday, by the way.
The original ones?
1, 2, and 3, yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing it.
First one's only $5.
Well, that game also has a special place in my heart because, like, my mom and I played through that. Like, she was alongside me for that ride, and I'm not going to be able to recreate that. It'd be really weird. It would be really weird if I streamed that, and my mom.
No, wouldn't that be awesome?
That'd be awesome.
Amazing.
Hi, Mrs. Keel. How you doing?
I can just see my mom behind me. Oh yeah, like, subscribe, slam that bell,
Hit that bell. Send us your likes and your questions, comments, and
give us
concerns.
bits.
Biddies for
Be-
titties.
Be
No,
nice.
Mom,
Be
no,
nice to
please.
my boy.
Stop trashing my boy.
That's my son.
He works real hard.
Look, I like that the remakes are happening. I like that it's a revisitation on things that were great, and I like that a lot of them seem to be coming off really, really well. I hope that it's continued with paying respect to a game or franchise rather than becoming a cash grab. I think
Right.
that
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII has taken so long leads me to believe this is not just a cash grab.
Well, it hasn't it's just taken so long for them to be like, we should do a remake. People.
Well, there was that,
clamoring
but like
for fucking
how long has it been announced? Like 4 years now?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, yeah, 2015, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe 2016. Yeah.
Just as long as they're paying respect to that game, like proper respect.
Right. I agree. Like, I think it's very cool. They made the right decision in adding the turn-based combat, like the old school one.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, if you want to do the action-based combat, like the regular, like, action game version of the combat, you could do that, or you can turn it to turn-based. And it's like, okay, well, that's awesome. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for doing that for the fans. So
Yeah, that's understanding what the
that
game
is a good tip of the hat to the fans to say, no, we're not, it's not just a cash grab. It is, we are trying to do something for you guys, Yeah. But anyways.
I'm going to move on. Jameson McLaren. Hey, y'all, newer listener here. Was wondering if y'all do anything outside of the podcast like this. Do we do anything outside of the podcast like talking? Yeah, when we play games together. It's rare, but it happens.
Like today. Yay.
Like today it happened. Or at least with Moose and I and Jason. Well, Corey hosts Nintendo Pow Block. Moose is a co-host on Nerds Gone Platinum. And I am only really here. Because I am busy the rest of the week.
No excuses.
So yeah, I at some point, hopefully, if things change in my work life, I will get to a point where I'm streaming again. But other than that, just keep it here for now. Or you could follow me on Twitter, or follow all of us on Twitter. That's all at the top of the show, and it'll be at the end of the show. So I'm gonna hijack that and just move right on, unless anybody has anything to add.
You can follow me on Mixer if you want.
Oh yeah, we'll add that later.
I'm only 27 away from 200.
Nice.
Hey.
Aaron Hamilton. Hey peeps, I just started listening to your podcast a couple of months ago and thought, where has this been in my life? Who in the video game industry do you admire most, whether it's a developer, influencer, industry leader, etc.? Corey, I want to start with you. Who do you admire most?
I don't know. I don't know.
The Coalition.
Nah, not really.
343 Studios.
Miyamoto.
Bungie.
Meh. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't really.
Hideo Kojima.
No, his tweet was pretty cool though. His follow-up tweet was even better.
What was his follow-up to that crap?
Thanking his team for working hard on the game.
Oh, fucking ass.
It was in the same thread. He replied to his own tweet with that tweet.
Oh, what a... Oh. See, if anybody wants to know why I don't care for Hideo Kojima, it's that shit.
I mean, to me, it reads like a tweet that was like stuck in a translation error or something. But like, it was just.
It's just like, hey, I do all this and it's all mine. Thank you for all those who did all the menial, all the little people who did all the bullshit that I was too busy taking selfies with celebrities to do.
It also reads like a tweet that's like, I stick my legs up on my desk and suck my own dick too.
Right?
That's what it reads like. I'm not like trying to be mean or anything, but that's just like what the tweet reads. I mean,
you're not
like.
wrong. It reads like a self-important shitbag.
Oh man, that's funny.
Do you have anybody you actually admire in the video
I mean, I admire a lot of like creatives and stuff. Like, I think a lot of people put a lot of work into these things that we enjoy every day, and you know, I mean, like, it's not usually just one person. It's usually like a team. You know, I admire when a team doesn't like kill themselves over trying to get a game out. Although, like, I do see both. I do argue both sides of the crunch talk, but that's a topic for a different day. I do, you know, admire the teams that make my favorite games. I think, you know, I know this is kind of a generic answer, but like Miyamoto and Aonuma and Satoru Iwata are like a team of higher ups at Nintendo who have created pretty much our.
They basically created the industry as it is today.
Yeah, you know, and you know, there's others like Warren Spector. I think is a really quality guy in the industry. You know, I think Cory Barlog is a pretty quality guy in the industry that, you know, you can look up to and see that he has a real passion for his projects and not really being a dick about it. You know, I mean, there's people in the industry who like need their name on everything, and those people you kind of like. It's kind of like, sure, it's kind of like, you know, if you relate it to movies, I don't really care for people like. There's very few in the video game industry like it, but like someone like James Cameron who has to have his name plastered all over the name of the movie, right? You know, it's just like, James Cameron's Avatar, I don't care. Like, who cares? Your movie, you blue cat people fucked with tails. I don't care. But I don't know. I admire like teams and people who like are creative and kind of stay positive within the industry more than just like individuals. So that's my answer, I think.
Miyamoto.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to go. Like, I know I love PlayStation and all that stuff. You know, Dark Souls. So Miyazaki. But like, you know, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be a fan of video games without Super Mario Brothers, Zelda. Sure. You know, so laying that groundwork. And I mean, the fact that the man has done how many games, and I don't think he's like in the Super Mario Brother game space. Like, none of them have been bad. Yeah, Super Mario Bros. 2 was a little off the wall.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
but it was awesome. I mean, that's what I was going to say. I was like, it might have been like moving away from the other ones, but it was still an awesome game. Then he came back with 3, Super Mario World, 64. Like, just like his track record is
Insane.
really insanely good.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just like his stuff, and having recently bought a Switch and just watching my friend play Mario Odyssey yesterday, and well, not recently bought a Switch, but recently bought Mario Odyssey on the Switch. It's just like watching him play that. It's like he just knows how to make games that are fun.
Mhm.
You know, like it's very chill. Like the game's very chill. You can just go around, do what you gotta do, collect your coins, all that stuff. There's no like Dark Souls-esque like mechanics to it. You're like, everything in this fucking world's trying to kill me, you know? like you know, and so I just think that's really cool. I think it's really cool that he's still able to be putting out games and doing what he loves to do. So I thank him and I admire him for his work.
For me, like I genuinely admire Edmund McMillan.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Like, I haven't played all of his games just because a bunch of the Flash ones. I was just I've not gone back looking for, and I wasn't in tune to the game enough. But the way his voice in games speaks tends to be very in line with how I look at things, or at least I'm sort of like on the same frequency. And every game of his that I've played, I've loved. I also really like Derek Yu. I mean, I've only played Spelunky. I didn't play Aquaria or any of the other things he made prior. But you know, Spelunky has become one of my favorite games of all time. Rami Ismail for Vlambeer. I really like the way he uses his platform in video games, because he's trying to spotlight creators from everywhere in every background. And I just want to clarify, I'm mentioning these folks, along. I mean, I do admire Miyamoto. I'm not trying to take away from that. Like the guys who did Doom, Romero, Carmack, all that. The folks at Bethesda, they do really good games. I mean, I could be here for a very long time talking about people that I like. But influencer-wise, I'll point to Khalif Adams. I like the way he tries to spotlight people of color and marginalized people. The folks at Waypoint, the way they speak about games and the way they realize that, hey, this is all art, and if you want to talk about this as art, you have to understand what the art is trying to say. Be that conversation difficult or easy, like, you should really think about it. And I do like that they, will point out problems with things, but still like them. Like, they don't condemn something, like they don't condemn Monster Hunter World because it is colonialist and problematic, because the gameplay is still fun. Let's see, Yoko Taro. Like, if you've not played Nier Automata, you should. There's a writer I like. Her name is Lana Polanski. She's on Twitter at Mecha Poetic. She streams on Twitch at Mecha Poetic, where she streams like really, really tiny games. Like stuff that, like, a lot of times it's something that someone has sent her that was kind of just made on a lark. But she actually, she was on a podcast called No Cartridge, and she basically went on this nice, long, well thought out rant as to why Nier Automata is probably the best game of the last 10 years. And it was a compelling argument. And the more I've sort of revisited those thoughts in my head, I'm starting to think she's probably right, because it is very much an independent AAA game. and it is taking, things from the indie boom of the last 10 years and putting them on a bigger palette with a budget or a bigger budget and
Bigger platform.
exactly
Bigger accessibility.
I would also want to point out Jonathan Blow. I think Braid and The Witness are two amazing games. I've not really engaged with his work, but I like what I've seen of Brendan Chung's work. He does really cool things. Probably the most interesting things he's done is called 30 Flights of Loving, and I think that is a fucking cool title. Yeah, I could. Play Dead did really good with Limbo. I mean, we should have had this question at the beginning of the show, so I could just keep going. But yeah, that's probably the beginning of a very, 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 very long list of folks that I admire in this industry, and I haven't even gotten to the writers, because there are plenty of folks out there that write really good criticism and very informed and thought out criticism. I think that we live in a space where there are a lot of video game sites that are looking for clicks, and we tend to fault them for that, but also that's how they keep the lights on. But the ones that do that the best, deserve to be talked about. I think we'll have to talk about that on a later show, but we do need to get going because I am well past my heart out. But hey, I'll still make it to work on time. So what do you say we call it a show, gentlemen?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So that is episode 164 of Nerds Gone Rogue. Hi, Bagel. My name is Matthew Keel. You can find me at infinite_rewind everywhere I want to be. Brian. Impossible Burger Brian. Where can we find you, sir?
You can find me at Sven on PSN, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. You can also find me hosting Nerds Gone Platinum with Jason and Jeff. Tuesday nights, we usually go live between 9 and 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, or the podcast goes up for your listening pleasure, reviewing pleasure on your podcast service of choice Thursdays mornings, or you can watch it on YouTube. You can tweet us at ng_platinum, or you can email us questions, comments, and concerns at nerdsgoneplatinum@gmail.com. Yeah. Corey.
Yeah. Take us home, Corey.
You can find me at CoreyNHD713 on Twitter. You can also find me at CoreyNHD on Instagram and Mixer. You can find all of our content on nerdsgonerogue.com, which is finally finished. Thank God.
Yay!
Yeah, you can find us every Monday night live recording on youtube.com/nerdsgonerogue. Please like, subscribe, and share, or download the podcast every Monday morning the following week, edited and all that stuff on podcast service of choice. Please rate and review us. It helps with discoverability. Those 5 stars really help. If you want any less than 4, you should not do it. So, anyways, I want to thank everybody so much for watching. And until next week, we love you.
Banana and out.
You're not welcome.
Ooh. Oh, man. Impossible Burger Brian, just cold.
Had to.
All right. I'm going to get out of here.
All right, party people.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, kids.